Let's do a couple more problems now. So the next one that I want to do for you, and it looks like we have a little bit of issues with symbols getting rewritten. Okay, that should be a division symbol. So we have a little typo here. When I change the files, it does that. Okay, let's do another problem though. So I'm going to write this as a long division problem. X cubed. And I don't have an x squared term, but I'm going to write 0x squared. Because I can do that without changing anything, and it's important to do that because even though I don't have x squared terms, maybe I'll need the workspace. You might end up with x squared terms even if you didn't start out with them, so we need to leave that space there. You always have to go from the largest power to the lowest and don't skip any. On the inside or on the outside too, that happens. Okay, minus 3x plus 4, and then the outside x minus 1. And I look at just the leading terms, and I say, what do I need to multiply x by to get x cubed? Well, I think I need to multiply by x squared, so I'll write it in the x squared column that I created for myself. So x squared times x is x cubed, x squared times negative 1 is negative x squared. Draw the line, change the sign, beautiful rhyme that I made up. Not really, but like I said, don't tell Mr. Delp. I'm stealing his stuff. Okay, so those cancel. 0 plus 1, it became addition. Okay, you have to change all the signs, so be careful when you have subtraction. It's going to be addition. 0 plus 1x squared is just 1x squared. I'm not going to write the 1. And then I have negative 3x, bring down my next term. And I look at those leading terms again. And I say to myself, what do I need to multiply x squared by, or x by, sorry, to get x squared? Well, I think x is going to do it for me. So I'll put plus x in the x column. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1, negative 1x. Notice I'm ignoring these second terms. They're not always going to cancel right away. That's all right. Draw a line, change the signs, boom, boom. Cancel. If this leading term here doesn't cancel, you made a boo-boo. Negative 3 plus 1 is going to be negative 2x. Bring down the 4. And then you say to yourself, what do I multiply x by to get negative 2x? Well, negative 2. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Draw the line. Change the sign, and yes, I know I'm speeding up a little bit. Those cancel, and I have 4 minus 2 is 2. So I have a remainder. Now, you could write R2, and that's probably what you did when you were in kindergarten and you were doing long division. But, you know, we're bigger now, we're older now, some of us are much older now, so we don't want to just write R2 anymore. We want to write this as we would when we had, you know, when we got a little bit older and we had leftovers. We wrote it as a mixed number. Well, we're going to kind of do the same thing here. We're going to write plus, and then I'm going to put the 2 here, and then whatever I was dividing by, I write down there. And that's how we'll write remainders. I guess if you want to write R2, you still can. But, you know, if you write R2, people will probably pick on you for doing that, you know, like roving bands of math bullies that see you write R2 instead of writing your remainder as a fraction. Probably will make fun of you. So, I don't know, I would probably just not write R2. But it doesn't matter. If you want to write R2, you don't let people push you around. Okay, so now let's do this one. And then I'll show you a shortcut that I think you're really going to like. 2x squared plus 6x minus 1. And here I have 3x minus 6. Okay? Now, you look at this, and here's the reason I chose this problem. Because there's no whole number that I can multiply 3 by to get 2. So, I need to ask myself the question, and I'll do that off to the side here. What do I multiply 3 by to make a 2? Well, I think it's going to be a fraction. And in fact, my fraction is going to need to have, and let me put a multiplication symbol there. My fraction is going to need to have a 3 in the denominator, and that'll get rid of the 3. And I need to be a 2, so then I put a 2 in the numerator. and I think that's going to do it for me. Okay? So let's see if it does. So, and it's got to be an x too, because I've got an x and here's an x squared. So I think 2/3 x is the way to go. 2/3 times 3 is going to give me the 2, and then here I have x squared. 2/3 times -6, that's going to give me -4x. Draw the line. Change the signs. Cancel. 6 plus 4 is 10. X. And you bring down the next term. And what do I multiply 3 by to get 10? Well, I'm going to have to do that problem again. 3 times something equals 10. You know, if you have trouble doing this little thing in your head here, if you divide, this is like an equation. If you divide both sides by 3, you will see that the missing box here, the thing you need to fill in, is 10/3. So plus 10/3. 10/3 times 3 is 10, and then also the x. 10/3 times -6, I believe that's going to be -20. You know, you can also use your calculator to help you as you multiply these fractions out if you have trouble with those. Or I can help you, remind you how to multiply fractions later if you need me to. Draw a line, change the signs, cancel, and we have a remainder of 19. So I will write plus 19 over 3x minus 6. Wow, almost ran out of room, but I made it. Okay, let's talk about synthetic division now, because that's kind of cool. Here's all the instructions for synthetic division. You read those when you have time. I think you'll enjoy reading them. I like to read through them a lot, and I wrote them, and I still like it. But I'm just going to show you how to do it, because I think it's almost easier just to show you rather than to, read through all the instructions. So here's what you do. First of all, you can only use synthetic division if you're dividing by this. X minus some number, we call it A. And we could also have a plus here because A could be negative, which would give a plus there. But basically, that's the only time you're going to use synthetic division. And you're probably thinking, well, that's not very fun. Well, but there are still a lot of times where it's going to work out nice for you. So what you do is, whatever number is here, you draw a box and you write that number. And if the sign is negative, you leave it positive. If the sign is positive, you make it negative. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go through here and write every coefficient. So 1, 3, 2. Okay? Then we draw a line. Now, what I'm going to do next is I bring down the first term, bring down the first number, and I multiply 2 times that number, and I write the result here. Then I add the column here, 3 plus 2, and I get 5. And then I multiply 2 times 5, and I write the result here. And then I'm going to add the column again and get 12, and this is our answer. What started out as the x squared column and the x column and the number column, this is now my x coefficient. This is going to be my number, and this will be my remainder. So when you divide x squared plus 3x plus 2 by x minus 2, the answer you get is x plus 5, remainder 12. Or you could say x plus 5 and then plus 12 over x minus 2. Okay? So that's synthetic division. It's really nice, and what you can do is you can practice this, get really quick at it, and then you can like have synthetic division races with all your friends. And you guys are hanging out, you don't have anything else to do. I think that might be a lot of fun, So anyhow, that's what I like to do. I like to, when we have family reunions, I like to challenge people to synthetic division races. And it works out really nice for me because nobody in my family knows about synthetic division except me. So so maybe you can like find some people that don't know about it, and instead of teaching them, you can like just race them. You'll win. So anyhow, all right, let's do synthetic division again one more time just to make sure we're really good at it. So I have a 4 here, and since it's positive, I'm going to write -4. And then I have 1x cubed. I don't have an x squared term, so I have to add a 0 there. Just like long division, you can't leave spaces. Probably the biggest mistake people will make is not putting a 0 there. Okay, here I have negative 12 x, and then I have plus 16. By the way, if there were many terms missing, you'd be adding many zeros in there. Okay, now we draw a line, and we bring down our first term, and we multiply, write the result, and add. Then we multiply. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Write the result, and add. And then we multiply again. Negative 4 times 4, negative 16. We righted the result. Oh my gosh, did I just say righted the result? We didn't write the result. We wrote the result. No, probably not. Okay, so anyhow, actually we wrote the result. So now I add, and I get 0. That means there's no remainder. This was the x cubed column, the x squared column, the x column, and the number. So this is going to be my x squared coefficient, so 1x squared minus 4x plus 4, and no remainder. Okay, one more problem. Now this problem here, you won't be able to use synthetic division with this one, but I felt like I had to include it anyhow because it's a really awesome problem, and you can show it to all your friends, you know, amaze your friends, confuse your enemies. We can't use synthetic division, so we're going to have to go back to our old friend, long division. So I have x cubed and then plus 0x squared minus 4x plus 1. On the outside I have x squared plus 0x minus 2. And what I'm going to do is I look at the leading terms. What do I multiply x squared by to get x cubed? Well, x. And then start multiplying. So you distribute here, so it's going to be x cubed, and then x times 0, I get 0x squared, and then minus 2x. Draw the line, change the sign. I made that up. So, and then you combine those, you get 0 there. This also happens to be 0. And then negative 4 plus 2, I get negative 2x. Bring down the 1. By the way, sometimes you may have to bring down more than one term. For this problem, we only have one term left. And as weird as it might seem, this is my remainder. Because x squared has a higher power than negative 2x. So there's nothing more that can be done with this. So my final answer is x, and then plus a remainder of negative 2x plus 1 over x squared minus 2. So that's the end. Let me see, make sure. Yep, I'm making sure. I'm making sure, and yep, no more problems down there. So that's all you have to do. Give you some nice homework here. Let you work on that. Quiz tomorrow. Be sure to go home tonight and do some synthetic division races with your friends and your family. Maybe if you have like little brothers and sisters that can't add yet, that'd be a good thing to do too, because you don't have to worry about going too fast. So anyhow, I hope you have a great day. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, don't make your brothers and sisters feel bad. Okay.